Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 26 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them. Available on Spotify, Podbean, and YouTube. Other services to be determined. I'm your host, Erroll Moss, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Jason Corder.
Hey.
And we're just going to start, like we always do, with the Japanese games we've been playing. So... I've actually been playing a couple games from last year, because I have a group of friends that I play games with on PC now, because one of our other friends got a gaming laptop. So we've been playing Earth Defense Force Iron Rain, which I talked about a little bit last episode.
Okay.
And it's really fun. It's not a typical EDF game. It's meant more for a Western audience. But in that, it also has some... I haven't played EDF 5, so I don't know what exactly all the differences are. But I do know it plays a little differently. So I mentioned last episode about how they have the Attack on Titan mobility game.
Yeah, the 3...
Or it's called the E. It's called the Needle in Iron Rain. And it's funny because the achievement you get for once you play that class is it's a Spider-Man reference, and apparently the Japanese version of that achievement is an Attack on Titan reference.
Well, that's good localization.
But so we've just been doing missions together, and we decided to grind a little bit and unlock some really good weapons. So I'm using the best sword in the game.
Okay.
So there are swords that sometimes they'll shoot energy out. They'll shoot out little energy blades. But the best sword in the game, it shoots a little bit of wind out, a little bit of lightning. And the problem is you have to get really close to enemies to actually use it. So you kind of have to really know what you're doing. But I did something really cool. So the E-needle, you can hook onto enemies to go towards them, and it's easier with bigger enemies. So I was just experimenting while we were playing, and I was like, I wonder. So I hooked onto a little UFO thing, because a bunch of them come out at once. So I hooked onto one of them, went right towards it, and slashed through it, and I was like, dude, did you guys see that? And they're like, no. And then I explained to them, oh, sounds pretty cool.
I mean, didn't you make a recording or it's PC? I don't think you have a recording handy with PS4.
I have a capture card.
Okay, there you go.
I didn't know that would happen. I don't usually record us playing together.
Okay.
We're also playing. We all started, or I guess. Me and one of the other people, we restarted Monster Hunter World on PC.
Oh, nice.
So we're all going to be playing that together. Because we did, as fans of the main Monster Hunter series, we didn't like a lot of the changes in World at first.
Really?
But then, since my friend is a huge Monster Hunter fan, I was asking him is it better with Iceborne and all that? He's like, oh yeah, they made it so much better.
But I'm wondering.
Unfortunately, the base game. It has that Final Fantasy XIV problem of the base game needs some fixes, but the expansion is really good.
Oh, okay. But I'm wondering, the thing that you dislike about Monster Hunter World, is it that it's too streamlined?
Yeah, there's certain things that they took out that they shouldn't have taken out. I can't get into specifics that much. My friend explains it a lot better than I could. And then other stuff they added that felt kind of unnecessary. And also the main hub in the base game is too big, which is a problem I've always had. Because usually in the other Monster Hunter games, because these were on 3DS and PSP and stuff, the main hub towns were much smaller, so it was really easy to know where everything is.
But I imagine that was due to the limitations of the systems they were on.
That's true, but I just wonder if they're going to go back to it with a new story that we'll talk about later.
Okay.
Especially because I've been hearing that the hub world in Iceborne is actually a lot better. And then one more game I've been playing, which actually came out last week, is Mr. Driller Drill Land. I decided to pick it up. It's really fun. It's like you're in a theme park with different themed games, which has different like different goals. Like the one I played and finished today was the haunted house one, and what you do is you have to collect crystals by you're still drilling all the little blocks, but you also have to collect crystals by getting holy water and spraying it on ghosts who are in the blocks.
That's adorable.
And making sure the ghosts don't attack you by turning into bats.
Okay, that sounds like fun.
Oh yeah, no, Mr. Driller is great.
Yeah.
So what have you been playing?
I have once again been playing Dragon Quest XI. Which is great news for you, I guess. I just completed.
Eric is best boy.
Well, we'll see about that. I'm not that far into this.
Sylvando's good.
I'm not that far into the story to make a judgment just yet. But I just finished the MMA quest. Is it? What's the place?
Oh, the tournament arc.
Yeah, the tournament
as I like
arc.
to call it.
Yeah. It was fun, and I'm just ahead of. Well, I'm not ahead of it, but I just finished that, and I'm a bit ahead of that, where the big plot twist is revealed. About two characters that may or may not join your party. Which was which was really fun to see. I wasn't really expecting this story to go that into depth.
I'm just kind of like, okay. I wasn't like surprised by it, but I wasn't like
because when I think of Dragon Quest, I think of very simplified and not in a pejorative way, a simplified way of conveying gameplay and story, and to have something with this level of depth, or not even that deep, but having this much of a wrinkle in the story is fun for me and interesting.
Yeah,
because
just wait until you.
Yeah,
just wait.
Because this just makes the characters that much richer, when they could have been just cardboard cutouts or archetypes, but they react in their own way, and that's so fun to see. And furthermore, I've also been playing the newly released, in the West at least, SinoAlice. Is the mobile game by Yoko Taro and crew, and it's got a very good art style. It's how do I describe this? Like dark fantasy anime aesthetic, and well, it's a gacha game for the crowd that loves waifus. So there's that. And Yoko Taro does not hide his love for waifus, and that is in full display here. Not to a gross degree, depending on which characters you have, of course. And it's an interesting story where fictional characters from like Alice in Wonderland, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty, they have to progress through the game to free the authors of their stories, which is kind of a unique take on things.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's like... Whoa.
Yeah, it's very deep. I mean, there are some interviews going around today, I think. Silicon Era has one where they interview Yoko Taro. And it's a really interesting look in how this world came together. And it's also a very interesting look in how Yoko Taro thinks. So there's that. What else? I'm not that wild about the combat. It seems a bit too simplistic to me because it's just tap this.
I mean, it is a mobile game.
Sure, but even a mobile game can have combat that's very deep and tactical. This just doesn't feel like that. It's just like mindlessly tapping, and I don't. It kind of makes me feel disengaged with the whole experience, and I wonder if I'll keep playing it until next week. But yeah, that's what I've been up to this week. Yeah.
All right. So I guess we'll move on to the In From Japan J list, where we talk about recent video game related movie and TV news. I think there was something else that happened too that I might have missed, but I can't remember.
Well, I think, I don't know if in the West, but Brand New Animal from Studio Trigger just dropped on Netflix.
Oh no, we got that. We did get that.
Okay.
I need to watch that. I put that on my list. But that's not video game related.
I'll make an exception.
Anyway, so Pokemon Twilight Wings Alistair episode will air on July 3rd, 2020, which will be the same day this podcast goes up. Because it had a delay because of the pandemic. It's the 5th episode. It stars the ghost type gym leader from. It's from she. Yeah, he. I forgot if Alistair.
Let's just go with they.
They, yeah. Alistair, wears a mask. Ghost type gym leader. In the screenshot, it has Alistair with Ghastly, Haunter, and Gengar. There will be 7 Pokemon Twilight Wing episodes total.
Oh, that's a decent size.
So after this, there will be 2 more. Seems to have mostly focused on the gym leaders.
I mean, it's nice.
Which is nice. It's nice to give other characters background who don't really get it in the game.
Exactly. So that's what I was thinking.
I want one with the I forgot his name, the old man who's the fire type gym leader.
Fire type gym leader. I know who you're talking about, but I cannot for the life of me conjure an image of what he looks like.
He's an old man. Kabu. His name is Kabu.
Okay.
But yeah, you can look forward to that.
Okay.
And then Danganronpa TV web series debuts on YouTube. So
have you watched this?
Today, Spike Chunsoft revealed a new Danganronpa TV web series, and along with the announcement came the first episode. The title is How I Discovered Danganronpa, and is hosted by Megumi Ogata, the voice of Makoto Naegi. Rikako Ito and Gaiha Shimakura will also be hosting. The guest featured will be Danganronpa series producer Yoshinori Terasawa and writer Kazutaka Kodaka. They'll be talking about how Danganronpa came to be and reading fan messages about how they discovered the series. This Danganronpa TV web series is part of the 10th anniversary celebration efforts for Danganronpa, which originally released for PSP back in 2010, made its North American debut when the first 2 games were re-released on Vita, and has become a full-blown franchise in the meantime. Yeah, so
have you watched it?
I wonder if our guest from last week will be featured in that series.
Well, I imagine if anyone.
I know that's not how it works.
But sure.
But you should be.
Sure. Yeah, as I was asking, have you seen it?
Oh, okay, so recommended. Oh, I haven't watched it yet, no.
Okay.
Alright, so next is recommended content. Content other than news from the past week that's interesting. I've put the links in the description of the YouTube video or the Podbean page or what have you. So we have Behind the Scenes with Phil Lamar, Samurai Jack Battle Through Time by Adult Swim Games on the Adult Swim YouTube channel. 20 years later, the rowdy creators of Tokyo 2 reflect on making Jet Set Radio by Katie McCarthy over at US Gamer. Super Mario Maker 2 1 year later, Springy Highs and Bottomless Pits by Matthew Olson, US Gamer. One Collector's Quest to Find and Preserve the Rarest Retro Nintendo Artifacts by Nadia Oxford, US Gamer. Starting Screen, Remembering the Joys of Sin-Free Gaming in Summer by Nadia Oxford, US Gamer. The Romeros reflect on RPGs and FPS games over 20 years by Luce O'Brien, IGN. Paper Mario The Origami King folds familiar elements into an all-new adventure by Jeff Cork, Game Informer. Sexism and harassment in the games industry isn't just about big names. The entire culture must change by Emma Kent, Eurogamer. If you care about video games, care about the people who make them too, by Vicky Blake, NME. I don't know what NME stands for.
Let's just look it up. NME. It stands for
the
New Musical Express.
Oh, okay. It's also the evil group in the Kirby anime.
Yeah, it spells enemy, so there's that.
Yeah. Golden Sun, A World Reignited. It's an album by OC Remix, and they just remixed a bunch of the, I don't know if it's the entire soundtrack from the Golden Sun games, but a lot of it. Sounds really great, and it's free. I still need to play those. I have them. I just need to play them.
What's stopping you?
All the other games I'm playing.
Okay, well, there's that.
Anime, Coronavirus, and Yoko Taro, The Making of SinoAlice by Patrick Klepek over at Vice. There's also the Silicon Era article that Jason mentioned.
Yeah. Okay.
And now it's time for the news rundown, and we'll give it away to the bearer of bad news, the Shinigami himself.
Yeah. So first up is Switch eShop exploit encourages fake, quote-unquote, leaks of Wii U and 3DS game re-releases. This is by Ryan Craddock for Nintendo Life. We've all seen some pretty convincing Photoshop efforts in our time trying to trick us into believing that certain sought-after games are headed to Switch. But this newly discovered eShop exploit will make fake rumors look even more believable. Or at least, it would have done if you hadn't read this article. Oh, drats, and I would have gotten away with it. Twitter user at Erroll has discovered a particularly interesting Switch eShop exploit that lets you look at full game listings for certain titles on Wii U and 3DS. As we've known for a while now, if you add a game to your wishlist while logged into Nintendo's official site, you can quickly view its listing on your Switch later on. Weirdly, this works for some games on Nintendo's older platforms, despite the fact that they can't be played on Switch. Okay, so yeah, this was a thing, and it probably just goes to show you that the databases for the different platforms aren't as separate as we think they are.
Yeah, I didn't see people I didn't see people writing about this, and I thought okay, this is interesting though, because people should know this just in case.
I think I heard this on Axe of the Blood God, the US Gamer podcast. I'm not sure, might be mistaken, but this was a thing that many people didn't know about, and now they do. But you can't really access the content, so there's really no point in going through all of this. But maybe it's a sign of things to come, of remasters, or maybe having an emulation baked into the Switch for Wii U titles. But who knows? Okay. Next up, we have 16-year-old student arrested for allegedly threatening to, quote-unquote, blow up Konami's headquarters. This is by Damian McFerrin for Nintendo Life. A 16-year-old student has been arrested in Japan for allegedly threatening to blow up Konami's Tokyo headquarters. According to Yumiuri, the suspect made the threats between June 16th and June 18th on the review section of an online app store. Another Japanese outlet, Manichi, reports that the game in question is Pro Evolution Soccer smartphone app. Kotaku reports that the suspect allegedly wrote, "I'm going to blow up Konami's headquarters. I'm going to kill the people who work at Konami." The student added that terrorism was possible even in a country like Japan. He has reportedly admitted the charges, explaining that he was frustrated by network connectivity issues that he says are a defect and caused him to lose a match. Konami has said that it has strengthened security in response to the threat. So this was a bit distressing.
Like, write a letter. Don't write a letter or an email. Don't threaten people if you have connectivity issues. Be like, hey, having problems with this, and then like go on a forum and see how many other people may be having problems with it, and then more people would be like, hey, a lot of people are having a problem with this, can you fix it? Instead of like
threatening someone with violence or
harm
death
to people.
Yeah, I mean it goes back to consumers feeling entitled to their content. It's something I've been thinking about today a lot, especially since I want to be very careful in saying this, but it seems like publishers and developers, well, maybe developers not so much, but the publishers are kind of fostering this mentality that the client is always right, and every act, every aggression is seen as a passionate response and not dismissed as or handled as something that could turn out to be potentially violent. And if you don't cut this off at the root, these occurrences will unfortunately happen, and we have to take them very seriously and educate people on the possible consequences of all of this, not just to the harm you could cause to others, but the harm you can cause to yourself. And it's just unfortunate that, anyway, moving on. Street Fighter Mortal Kombat pulled from EVO after abuse allegation. Update: Them's Fighting Hers 2. That's a game, not a quote or anyway.
Yeah, no, it's the My Little Pony fan fighting game. Okay,
this is by Ian Walker for Kotaku. The developers behind Mortal Kombat 11 and Street Fighter 5 have pulled their games from EVO Online following allegations of sexual misconduct against the organization's co-founder and CEO, Joey Mr. Wizard Seolar. Did I say that right? Kueller? Anyway.
I don't know.
Mortal Kombat 11 narrowly missed out on being part of the EVO 2020 lineup before the COVID-19 pandemic forced the event to go online and shift to games with competent rollback netcode. As of June 30th, 1,357 competitors had registered to compete in Mortal Kombat across EVO Online's 3 regions. If you click on the article, you'll see some quotes from those involved. There's also another article I'm seeing now is that EVO has suspended the CEO following the sexual misconduct allegations. So a lot is happening.
Oh, it was the CEO. See, I wasn't sure of the position.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on,
especially today with
online Evo is pretty much canceled, I'm guessing, at this point.
It depends. They've suspended the CEO, but I don't know if that's enough to make good on whatever happened today or what was alleged today.
Yeah, no, but all those game companies are pulling out from that now, so I don't know.
I mean, they can still say, you know what, okay, Evo, you've distanced yourself from the pretty bad dude. We'll just hold the tournament as originally planned. I don't know. It's up to them. Maybe they'll start a new tournament somewhere down the road. Who knows?
I don't know.
Very unfortunate.
It's just crazy because this story broke right before recording.
Yeah, and this is on top of everything else going on in the streamer and fighting game community worlds. There have been allegations.
Streamer, fighting game community, game industry as a whole.
There have been allegations made against or members of the Smash community, Smash Brothers community. and another pro streamer, or well, I should say someone within the pro streamer circuit has taken his life by suicide, unfortunately. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So if ever you feel the need to talk to someone or you're struggling with something, let us know.
Yeah,
we're here to talk. Talk to a friend.
There are a lot of good mental health resources online.
Yeah, there's also the suicide.
There's a lot of positive support going around on social media about destigmatizing. Trying to destigmatize the way we
talk about mental health.
Yeah,
and there's also the suicide prevention hotline. So we'll link all of that in the description.
I think it's different depending on what country you're in.
Yeah, exactly. Oh well. Okay. That was the bad news. And, time to shift to some lighter things.
Yeah, lighter news time. Okay, so. Nintendo president apologizes for Joy-Con issues. This is from Eric Van Allen over at US Gamer. I'm trying to find the actual... Regarding the Joy-Con, we apologize for any trouble caused to our customers, said Furukawa. He goes on to say Nintendo is aiming to continue improving its products, but as the Joy-Con is the subject of a class action lawsuit, he refrained from speaking in detail about any specific actions. While Nintendo has reportedly offered Joy-Con repairs for free in the past, this seems to be the first formal apology for the ongoing Joy-Con issues with the system. Considering how widespread the issue has become over the years since the release of the Nintendo Switch, it's nice to see some acknowledgement of it. So hopefully they do something.
I mean, thanks, I guess. It's not much to go off on, but as the Nintendo president said, he can't really comment because there's an ongoing lawsuit. But it's really unfortunate that a console that is now about 3 years old is still having these issues till this day. Even the Switch Lite has these issues because they're made with more or less the same components. But
and you can't disconnect the Joy-Cons on that.
No, that's true. But I was going to say it's also unfortunate when you compare the Joy-Cons to other controllers. Like my PS4 controller is probably older than 3 years now, and it's still holding up pretty fine. The battery life is
my PS4 controller is like maybe 5 years old.
Yeah. So if everyone else can make their stuff work well enough to last the test of time, why can't Nintendo? It's just so unfortunate. And I think Tom Marks wrote something about this last month.
I remember.
So Tom Marks from IGN. But it's still unfortunate. It sometimes makes me not recommend the console, because if you have to keep buying accessories like controllers that in some places can cost up to $100, that's not easy for anyone's wallet.
Make sure to always have it's always good to have a pro controller, just in general, just in case.
Yeah.
Alright, so next story. Ninjala downloads top 1 million. Free-to-play online battle action game released on June 24th. This is from Sal Romano over at Gamatsu. Ninjala, the free-to-play online action battle game featuring Ninja and Gum, has surpassed 1 million downloads since its June 24th launch on Switch, developer Gung Ho Online Entertainment announced. To celebrate the milestone, as well as compensate players for the server access errors that have occurred on launch day, all players will receive 100 Jala in-game currency, 10 Ippon Gum flame weapon skins. Oh, why did I say and? I don't know. Ninjala is available for Nintendo Switch via Nintendo eShop. So I have it, I just haven't played it yet. But it's cool that it's already on 1 million so fast. Like, I think,
Sorry, my mic was muted. I was trying to speak. I said so many things. Yeah. I haven't had time to play Ninjala myself. But it's looking like it's going to be a good replacement for the Splatoon 2 community that lost much of their support.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's hoping for great things.
I need to try it out still, but that's good for that. I guess probably because it's in the middle of a pandemic and it's free and it's a new multiplayer game. I'm sure those are all factors.
Yeah.
Alright, next story. New Pokemon Snap Apples clip focuses on Pokemon snacking. This is by Jenny Lotto over at Siliconera. So Nintendo singled out some Pokemon Snap Apples footage on Twitter. Well, this isn't new footage, as all of it was called to attention briefly during the Nintendo Switch game's reveal. It does call attention to a returning mechanic from Pokemon Snap and give people a chance to see how it'll function in the sequel. First, here's Nintendo's clip. It shows Pikachu, then Dodrio, Pyuku Muku, and Blastoise all enjoying some new Pokemon Snap apples. What's interesting about the footage is that each sample shot gives people a look at a unique sort of pose a player could trigger by ensuring they have some Pokemon food in the right place at the right time. In the original Pokemon Snap, apples are an item Todd Snap can unlock after earning a certain number of points from photos. People can toss an apple into a Pokemon's range ahead of time to attempt to get a special picture shot of either a character eating or performing a certain action. For example, you can lure Pikachu onto a surfboard for surfing Pikachu, unique pose with apples. In the new Pokemon Snap footage above, we see apples already in place near all 4 characters, suggesting people will be able to, again, chuck food to line up good pictures. And then you can also throw apples directly at the Pokemon to cause them to be more aggressive.
Do you know what I think? All of this has been a missed opportunity to make a Bug Snacks joke. I mean,
Bug Snacks.
Okay. Next.
There's no Butterfree, no bug Pokemon.
Well, I mean, there might be.
I remember there's this one where if you... So I did a thing where I threw an apple between 2 Magmar, and then they both used Flamethrower at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it made like a cool X, and I took a picture of it, and Professor Oak was like, "Oh, this picture sucks." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, I mean, he has very, very strict guidelines and tastes.
Very special taste.
Yeah.
Alright, take it away.
Okay, next up is Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition. Free demo will let you play with friends online. This is by Kazumo Hashimoto for Silicon Era. To celebrate the release of Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition, a free demo will be available to download. This free demo will allow players to play the first 3 dungeons of the game with up to 4 friends in online play. The demo for the upcoming remaster has been titled Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Lite. That's a mouthful. The game will be available to download and to try on August 27th, 2020. If you click on the article, there will be some more added detail. And this is a very...
The 3 dungeons.
Yeah, this is a very cool move by Square Enix. Gives you a bit of a taste of the game. And I had this on GameCube. I never beat it. And I never had enough friends to play multiplayer with. So I'm looking forward to this iteration.
It's just unfortunate that it's not on PC. It's only on PS4, Switch, and I think mobile?
Yeah, it's on PS4, Switch,
yeah.
iOS, and Android. But I'd say give it a year. It's probably
it's not on PC.
It's probably going to be making its way to PC within a year or so. I mean, most modern Final Fantasy games are on PC as well. So, I think
otherwise I'll probably get it on PS4 or Switch. But I'll have to see what the friends I play all those games with want to do first.
if I'm not mistaken, there is crossplay. I'll have to check that. Maybe we'll update it for next week, but I think there's crossplay.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers 5.3 patch, Reflections in Crystal, will release August 11th. This is by Kazuma Hashimoto. I said Kazumo the last time. It's Kazuma. This is Kazuma Hashimoto for Silicon Era. Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers 5.3 patch, Reflections in Crystal, will release on August 11, 2020. Originally delayed due to situations surrounding COVID-19, the next update to Shadowbringers will arrive this fall. Reflections in Crystal was originally slated to release sometime in mid-June. This will be the conclusion to the Shadowbringers storyline. So there's that. And if I'm not mistaken, this update will also streamline the A Realm Reborn base content, so that you have a easier and quicker go of things.
Yeah.
So that you can move on to
and also
the other DLC. Yeah.
Also, today in Final Fantasy XIV, a Dragon Quest event is returning.
Oh yeah.
Where you fight some Dragon Quest golems, and you can get a King Slime hat, the Thug mask, like the yellow one with the horns, and a little mini golem minion. That runs until the 27th, I think.
Are you going to be joining that event?
Yeah, at some point. I've been kind of burnt out from Final Fantasy XIV because of Aurum Vale.
Okay.
I don't know if you know what Aurum Vale is, but all you need to know is it's a dungeon and it sucks. It's an optional dungeon, and it sucks.
I mean, put on some music.
But once you do it,
chat with some friends.
The problem is once you do it, it goes in your duty roulette rotation. So you're not gonna want to do it, and then it's like, oh, let's see what the duty roulette has today, and oh no, Aurum Vale, because you have to know the strategy for it, and it's not easy.
Okay. You'll be fine.
God.
You'll be fine.
Okay. Next story. Oh, hold on. Do that. Next story is Square Enix to announce games meant for E3 2020 around July to August. So this is by Sal Romano over at Gamatsu. Square Enix will announce the new titles it would have normally announced at E3 2020 in June, which was canceled this year, around July to August, the company said during a stockholders meeting on June 24th. Here's the question and answer from the meeting via No Investment, No Life. Question. Normally, you would announce new games at E3, but how has coronavirus affected your plans this year? Answer. We would normally announce new games at E3, yes. We had planned to have a press conference as a replacement event, but were unable to do so since assets were not complete. We'll be announcing new titles individually as the timing permits. Several will debut around July to August, which is good, because that's another benefit of not having E3, is that people don't have to like rush their trailers as much.
I get you.
They just do it whenever. So be excited for that. Final Fantasy 16? I don't think so. Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2? I don't think so. Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory? A little more detail? Yeah, probably.
I mean, there's so many games.
Bravely Default 2? Maybe.
Like Babylon's Fall is still in development.
Babylon's Fall? Yeah, I almost forgot about that.
By Platinum Games. So there's plenty of games left to be announced, or
who knows what surprises are in store. The new Dragon Quest Monsters game that's been in development for a few years. Yeah,
and also the action game from Dragon Quest, which stars the hero from the
Adventure of Dai.
So there's a lot.
I think that's still kind of early. I think that's still kind of pretty early.
Yeah.
So
as long as it's,
I don't know.
As long as it's no sequel to The Quiet Man. Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have the next Legend of Hero
2, the Squeakle.
Please don't. No. Please don't. The Legend of Heroes Trails game is already in development. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. I mean, we said as much last week, but okay. Development on the next Trails game in the Legend of Heroes series has already begun. Falcom president Toshihiro Kondo said during the Famitsu Cross Game no Denki Summer 2020 live stream fest. The new title, which will not be The Legend of Heroes Hajimari no Kiseki 2, has already progressed to... Wait, will not be? That's a weird sentence. Has already progressed to a certain...
Wait.
Yeah, because they're talking about Hajimari no Kiseki 1, so what? Okay. Anyway, again, the new title, which will not be The Legend of Heroes Hajimari no Kiseki 2, has already progressed to a certain extent and will present a new setting. Okay. I'm having trouble today. So there are some tidbits about the game if you want to read it. So yeah, I think you'll probably see this next year. Along with Trails of Cold Steel 4 on Switch and PC.
They crank these things out like crazy.
The thing is, they've already been developed or in development for a pretty long time.
Yeah.
And they're just now getting localized. And now that the West has caught up to Japan, it seems like it's just being pumped out like crazy. But yeah. I'm looking forward to this. I've started playing Trails of Cold Steel and not Trails of Cold Steel, Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky. Anyway, I keep messing up the titles, but I've been replaying the games. So I'm trying to make my way through to Hajimari no Kiseki dropping whenever.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Persona 4.
Next up, Persona 4 Persona 4 the Golden Modder.
Yeah.
No, Persona 4 Golden Modder is bringing light to the world by letting you date Yosuke. So I kind of talked about this a little bit
last week.
The last episode. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, they could start modding P4G. This is by Nadia Oxford at US Gamer.
Mm-hmm.
So when Persona 4 hit the PC on June 14th, the mod scene didn't waste any time getting to work. One mod that's currently in the works will allow players to date the main character's best friend Yosuke when it's finished. The mod's only about 10% completed, but it's already garnering a lot of discussion and good cheer. Persona 4 may be one of the best RPGs of all time, but it's not exactly LGBTQ plus positive. You can't date members of the same sex in Persona 4 Golden, plus some of the characters, Yosuke especially, are fonts of gay quote-unquote jokes and gay panic. It really brings down an otherwise top-tier RPG experience. Hopefully, the Yosuke romance mod by Mad Max 1960 will help alleviate those issues, if not delete them entirely. The mod already shows some promise. The available footage shows only a few lines of dialogue and some vocal repetition, which Mad Max 1960 says has already been cleaned up, and they seem to fit Yosuke's character. Something Editor-in-Chief Kat Bailey and I have discussed more than once on Axe of the Blood God podcast is how Persona 4 Golden's lack of same-sex dating option is disappointing, as is Yosuke's homophobia being played for laughs. This mod might kill two teddies with one stone. Yosuke's seeming disgust of gay people, or people he perceives as gay, could be him trying to cope with bottled-up feelings for his male friends, albeit badly. A story arc about him coming to terms with who he really is would be far preferable to him acting like a 6-year-old in the presence of cooties every time Kanji enters the scene.
First of all, how dare she with the teddy hate? Second of all, this is an interesting thing because if I'm not mistaken, this was actually cut content in the final game.
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the thing is, if they mod the cut content back into the game, doesn't that throw up the balance of the game? I'm not sure, because obviously I haven't played.
What do you mean the balance?
Because the social interactions with the characters in the game is balanced in such a way that you can fill up the days and the social interactions also level up you as a character, and that feeds into the battle of the game.
I'm sure that's probably taking into account.
It
is only
hope
10%
so,
done.
because I'm not sure what exactly got cut from the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm interested to see how it turns out. But yeah, this looked like a promising thing.
Yeah. Or I need to actually pick it up at some point. Probably once it goes on sale, whenever that is.
Well, there's a sale going on Fanatical, which is cheaper than the Steam store listing, and you can get the deluxe edition for about $21, if I'm not mistaken. So that includes the game and the soundtrack.
I don't really need the soundtrack.
I mean, once you start playing it, you're gonna need the soundtrack. Trust me.
No, I mean, like, I have the soundtrack.
Wait, you have the game, or you just have the soundtrack?
I had the I don't know where the game is, if I still have the game, but I know I have the soundtrack because when I got Persona 4 for the PS2 at the local retro game shop, everything was still intact.
Oh wow, that's a lucky get.
Yeah. So instruction manual and soundtrack.
Okay, then you just need the game. That's $15.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Okay, next story. Monster Hunter World Iceborne expansion, title update 4 launches July 9th. New developer diary to premiere on July 3rd. This is from Sal Romano of Rikamatsu once again. Monster Hunter World Iceborne title update 4 will launch on July 9th, Capcom announced. Additionally, the company confirmed that Event Quest in Monster Hunter World Iceborne will return to their normal rotation starting on July 8th. The Event Quest schedule will be updated on the game's official website and in-game via the notice board in the Gathering Hub on July 3rd. A new developer diary will premiere on July 3rd at 5 a.m. Pacific Time, 8 a.m. Eastern via the Monster Hunter YouTube and Twitch channels. I just added that because I've been playing that lately. And it's kind of just good to get into Monster Hunter again. Because it's a series I've enjoyed until Monster Hunter World came out.
Okay.
And then it just kind of soured me on it. But then, like, now that I can do it on PC with 3 other friends. And, like, I have, like, a controller that works a little better for me. And I can mess with settings a bit more than in the PS4 version. Yeah. Speaking of which... And I just wanted to mention this because I've been playing it and we don't really get to talk about it, but the accessibility settings in Last of Us Part 2 are great.
Are you enjoying it with the accessibility settings or just...
Yeah, because it's like sometimes it's not clear where to go exactly. And one of the accessibility settings is like, oh, it'll point you in the right direction. I'm like, okay, that's great because... Like, that's been a problem for me in specific games sometimes because it's not always that clear, especially because with Last of Us Part 2 the areas are kind of big, but like it's not an open world game, but the areas are kind of bigger than they need to be. But I understand they're trying to avoid being like straight up hallways. They want it to be a little more of an open space. But in that it can get confusing on where to go. Like sometimes I would backtrack by accident.
Yeah, I get you.
So that really helps. And more games should have accessibility settings like that.
Definitely.
Okay, next Monster Hunter story. Capcom planning a Monster Hunter that middle and high school students can enjoy. Monster Hunter World not coming to Switch. This is by Sal Romano once again over at Gamatsu. Capcom teased a Monster Hunter title that fans middle and high school students can enjoy during the question and answer session of its latest general meeting of stockholders. There are currently no plans to bring Monster Hunter World on Nintendo Switch. We are planning to develop a Monster Hunter that middle and high school students can enjoy, so please look forward to it. So they're going to make a Monster Hunter Switch exclusive. Which makes sense.
Do you think it's going to be stories too, or a proper Monster Hunter?
I think they mean as much as I want stories too, or stories enhanced definitive edition. I think this is core Monster Hunter.
Okay.
Because
interesting.
Because they're asking about Monster Hunter World specifically. Like, but you got to remember that Monster Hunter World, it's not named Monster Hunter 5, and there are several reasons for that. Because it's been meant to appeal to a Western audience, and it's more popular here than it is in Japan, or that world specifically.
Okay. What I'm guessing is they might use the stylized graphics from stories and implement that into a new full Monster Hunter experience, or at least that's what I'd like to see.
I don't know I would love if they did that, but I don't think they'll change I think they'll just...
Because I'm struggling to think how the Switch's hardware could handle Monster Hunter.
But yeah.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, they have Monster Hunter Double Cross on the Switch already, but that is a 3DS port.
Yeah, so that's what I'm getting at. I'm struggling to think that the Switch's hardware can't keep up with Monster Hunter.
I don't know if the Switch can run Dragon's Dogma.
Yeah, but that's also a 360 game, so.
And Witcher 3,
yeah, but heavily modified. Yeah, so I'm just struggling to think. Yeah. Oh well.
I'm sure they can optimize it. I'm sure that if Capcom has enough experience with putting Monster Hunter on 3DS and stuff, that I'm sure they can optimize it well enough.
Sure, but are they big enough, or do they have enough teams to dedicate a full Switch Monster Hunter to?
For Monster Hunter, I would think so. Okay, last Monster Hunter story is Monster Hunter World Official Complete Works arrives in August. This is by Jenny Latta for Siliconera. There's a new book on the way, and it will be perfect for people who enjoy poring over every detail about the Monster Hunter series. Get ready to get very invested, as Viz Media will release the Monster Hunter World Official Complete Works on August 11, 2020. The $50 book will provide various insights into the game and its world. This is a localization of a rather old tome, so don't expect any Monster Hunter World Iceborne details in it. This 560-page compendium originally launched back in Japan in January 2018 as Dive to Monster Hunter World Official Design Works, right around when the game had its PS4 and Xbox One debut. The localization was confirmed back in October 2019. In addition to acting as a bestiary for the game, it looks at concept art for the title, goes over all the equipment you could forge from various monster parts, and has developer commentary and interviews. It is also paperback, so you might want to be careful when going through this massive book. You can think of it as primarily being an art book, but there are plenty of insights to help people learn more about how the game was made. As I'm kind of looking into this because I really, as you can tell from the kaiju and the Pokemon and this and
you
that.
like monsters.
I really like creature design. So, and since we have other art books. We've gotten other Monster Hunter art books before, but none that really like interest me specifically because it's not they're not from one game, I don't think.
Okay.
I think it's just like a series of art books, but I have to check that. And then there is a Monster Hunter Stories art book that they released in Europe, but not here. But it's very small, and you can find a lot of the concept art online very easily, and I don't think it had any interviews.
Well, look forward to this coming in August.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have Bandai Namco Play Anime Live Showcase set for July 22nd. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Bandai Namco will host Play Anime Live, a digital showcase featuring the latest news and trailers for its lineup of upcoming console, PC, and mobile game titles on July 22nd at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, the company announced. You will be able to watch it live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. In addition to news and trailers, the showcase will also feature questions and answers with the developers, live giveaways, and more. Stay tuned. So there.
We may do a video podcast thing.
Yeah, reacts
because of its weird timing, like works out for us.
Yeah, we'll see. Next up, or maybe I should.
No. Wait, don't. Do you have predictions or anything for that?
Do I have predictions?
Or hopes. It doesn't have to be predictions. It can be predictions, hopes, dreams, whatever.
Well, the next news story is probably where I drop my Bandai Namco predictions. But if I had to say anything,
okay, no, go to the next story.
Wait,
first,
no,
then.
I have one. I have one. A Switch port of Soul Calibur 6 with Zelda or Link, or Zelda and Link included.
Whoa. I'm hoping we finally get a release date for Digimon Survive, and maybe some news on the upcoming Digimon Story game. Uh-oh. Hang on, you still here? The connection was lost for a second.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hello? Okay. What I said was...
You are cutting out like crazy, though.
I'm hoping for Digimon Survive... What?
Wait a second.
I said I'm hoping for a Digimon Survive release date. Oh. Hang on.
Oh no, we lost Erroll. I mean, I can keep going. Vamp a little. I mean, as I was saying, the Bandai Namco Play Anime Live Showcase is coming the end of July. And yeah, I don't really have that much to say or to think other than the Soul Calibur port. Yeah, who knows?
Okay, you're back? Sorry.
Yeah, we're back. I was just vamping. So I think we're good.
Okay, so because my connection went completely...
Belly up?
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay, I'll just do the next story then.
What I was saying... Okay. No, what I was saying... was that I'm hoping for a Digimon Survive release date. Oh,
yeah, I almost forgot about that. But yeah, that would be great. We haven't heard much. The Digimon anime also just recently started up again, so here's hoping there will be more Digimon news. Okay, next up we have Tales of Series turns 25 with more plans announced for the coming months. This is by Where's Your Name? Who writes this and doesn't leave a name? Anyway, this is from DualShockers.
Oh. No, it's there, right? Isn't it just in a weird spot?
No, it's not there.
Are you sure? No, it's there. It's by Scott White.
Where's the name?
It's in the corner.
I do not see anything, and I have oh my god, I see it. It's because the background of the image is also very light, and the font for the name is also very... Okay, DualShockers, hit me up if you need help. The Tales of series turns 25 with more plans announced for coming months. This is by Scott White for DualShockers. The iconic Tales of series turns 25 this year, and today Bandai Namco released a short celebration video of the series over on Twitter, which really filled my heart with so much joy. The tweet features a video that gives fans glimpses of all the main mothership titles of the franchise's history, including those that have never seen an English translation. What will get fans salivating though is Bandai Namco's mention that of quote unquote, "We have a lot planned for you to enjoy over the coming months. We already know of 2 titles in development, the mobile Tales of Crestoria and the next main game, Tales of Arise. Both of these have unfortunately suffered delays recently, with Tales of Arise being pushed outside of its initial 2020 release window. Could they have ports or remasters on modern game systems planned? Are we getting a new Memoria art book as we got for the 20th anniversary? Will we just have to wait and see as the link in the tweet goes to the standard Bandai Namco webpage? The article has a bit more if you want to read that. And yeah, I guess my predictions go here. I think we'll be getting remasters or even remakes of certain older titles, mothership titles, for the Switch at least, PC and PS4. And Microsoft also debuted the Tales of Arise trailer, right?
Like a new one?
No, the first one. Wasn't it shown at the Xbox Showcase?
Yeah, they did.
Okay, so maybe something to strengthen that relationship too, because the Xbox presence in Japan is kind of weak, I'd say.
Not great.
It's not great. So having them on would do good for their numbers in Japan, I'm guessing. But yeah, I love the Tales series. I'm looking forward to Tales of Arise, and I'm hoping more of the older games make their ways to the modern consoles. Okay, next up we have Grand Blue Fantasy Summer 2020 special live stream set for August 8th. This is by Sal Romano for Gamatsu. Cygames will host the 2020 edition of the annual Grand Blue Fantasy Summer Special live stream on August 8th from 1800 to 2100 JST, the company announced. So that's 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Japan Standard Time. As usual, the broadcast will be packed with content, including variety segments, news, information on future updates, and more. Further details will be announced at a later date. So, do you think the RPG will be reappearing at this live stream?
Hold on. I hope so. That's what I'm really excited about.
I'm guessing the fighting game will maybe get a character pass for new fighters. And I have no idea what else they could be planning. Maybe a new season of the anime, maybe a movie. Who knows?
I think some of it is on Netflix, at least in the US.
Yeah, I also have the anime on Netflix. Okay, next up we have a rumor and a Devolver Digital news item.
Yeah, hang on.
Are you good there, buddy? Do you want me to do it?
No, I got it.
I'm just imagining you falling almost out of balance on your chair or something.
I mean, I did mess up building it, so that wouldn't be that surprising.
Yeah.
Okay, so rumor, Xbox Series X first-party game showcase set for week of July 20th. Update. Oh, currently planned for July 23rd, reports VGC. So this is from Sal Romano over at Komatsu. The Xbox Series X first-party game showcase will take place during the week of July 20th, according to reports by VentureBeat journalist Jeff Grubb, and VGC. The latter noted that the event is currently planned for July 23rd. The event will focus on Xbox Game Studios titles, but will reportedly also include content from some third-party publishers, which could be Bandai Namco. People with knowledge of Microsoft's plans told VGC. Among the debuts will be the first gameplay of Halo Infinite, which is due out for Xbox Series X as a launch title alongside Xbox One and PC this holiday. New games from first-party studios The Initiative and Playground Games could also appear. VGC has updated its story, citing sources that The Initiative will unveil its first game during the July event.
Everything okay? You struggling with the news?
Yeah, I'm just so... It's just so surprising, man. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was just holding in like a small burp, and it was like hard to go away from the mic in time.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I hope. I just like having stuff to look forward to in these hard times. So whenever there's a new stream, it's like, yeah, okay, I got something I can do that day.
Something to look forward
like
to.
Something. Yeah. Next story, real quick. Devolver Digital Devolver Direct Showcase set for July.
You
July
just made
11th.
a new month because that's what it feels like.
Gameplay reveals, release date announcements, and new game reveals. This is again from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Devolver Digital will host a Devolver Direct broadcast on July 11th at 12 p.m. Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, featuring gameplay reveals, release date announcements, and new game reveals, the publisher announced. You will be able to watch it on Twitch. The showcase will end with the release of demos for Carrion, Disc Room, and an unannounced game, and maybe another game too, according to Devolver Digital. So, they're like, oh, Devolver's not a Japanese publisher or developer. No, but they did help localize Metal Wolf Chaos, a very hilarious, Americanized, formerly Japan exclusive game by From Software. So,
well, I don't know. If I'm looking at the news,
who knows what could happen?
If I'm looking at the news today, it really looks realistic, considering America's current state.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. All right, so our main topic is: are video games too long? So this has been a whole thing
on Twitter
because Jason Schreier just tweeted a random generic statement just saying video games are too long, which could be interpreted in a number of different ways. Some people were offended by that, saying like, "Oh, you're just old," but then other people were actually saying we're actually getting into it, kind of like, video game length versus the pacing, being too long versus having a lot of unnecessary, having not that great story pacing and a lot of elements that could have been cut out.
What do you think? Are they too long?
I think it just depends on what you're looking for, really. Lengthwise, at least. Lengthwise, it complete. Because if you're looking for a JRPG, you're already gonna know it's probably gonna be 30 hours at the least, usually. I mean,
haven't you ever played a game and thought, okay, this extra 10 hours could have been cut? I could have reached the ending far sooner.
Yeah.
For me, the most recent example I can think of is Persona 5. It's when you get Futaba in your crew, it feels like the game stretched it out too long. She could have been introduced way sooner, thus making the time spent with her more meaningful. I feel like they don't have to strictly adhere to one new member per dungeon introduced. They could just introduce 2-3 people per dungeon and they'd be fine. But I'm interested to see if Persona 5 Royal clears up any of that. Otherwise, are there games that are too long? I mean, it's like you say, it depends on how you look at it. Games
but then you also have to you also have to look at where you as a person are at in life, and there's a lot of factors that go into it, right? Your your age, your economic background, because obviously if your family is barely scraping by, you're gonna have you might have one video game that's hours and hours of content, and that might just be perfect.
Yeah. There's also something else that compounds that. It's that developers and publishers want to stretch out engagement so they can have you as a recurring investor, quote unquote, in their product, so that they can make more money after most of the sales have gone through, like recurring spenders to that effect. And you see that translate to mobile games having predatory practices, loot boxes in multiplayer games, and seasonal passes for online games like Fortnite and Destiny. It's all because the cost of development has gone up, but the price of games have stayed more or less the same. And today,
I forgot to put that story.
Yeah, today there was a discussion made about the next NBA 2K game is going to cost $70 on the next gen platforms. Is that a sign of where the industry is headed towards, or is it something we can still discuss? And I think it was last year, a couple of years ago, that the discussion or the point was made, why don't we just lower the profits that the CEOs make and
I saw somebody else say that today,
put that back into game development and making sure that people have a living wage. And that's not how capitalism works, unfortunately. And B, we've already seen evidence of this not working, or not. I wouldn't say paying your crew a fair wage not working, but it was Activision Blizzard that cut a lot of jobs to save the bottom end, or the bottom line, I should say. But at the same time, they also gave Bobby Kotick a bonus, a big fat bonus that could have paid everyone's salary for a couple of years probably. And it's like, okay, I get that you want to make money, but it just feels so wrong that sacrificing people is the way to make that money. And I guess that's my old age just growing out of capitalist roots.
And then it kind of goes, this whole thing kind of goes in hand with what Sean Layden said last week about, like, because I know a lot of people, look, if it means, if like getting a more steady, more sustainable development system would mean getting more 10 to 15 hour games, I'm all for it, rather than 30-hour stuff. Of course, it depends on the genre, the country, a bunch of other factors too.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm talking about Western games in general, but Japanese games too, I guess.
But it's also the thing that online games, multiplayer games, gacha games, games with seasonal passes, they just generate a lot of money. That's the end of the story. And developers and publishers are going to follow where the money goes. So as long as we keep buying all this extra stuff, the more developers and publishers are going to keep doing this kind of stuff. And it's going to be interesting to see the problem with NBA 2K21 coming out next year or this year at $70, and how they will be handling microtransactions, because the 2K games are riddled with microtransactions, and if they don't handle that well, there's going to be a big backlash against raising their price.
The problem that I brought up earlier, though, with and this is more for a single player game specifically, but like with length, when you don't do pacing right, it kind of messes up the narrative of the game and makes it not as tight as it could be.
Yeah.
And so that's another way, like, video games could be considered as, like, too long. Like, a lot of people with their Last of Us Part 2 reviews said, like, oh yeah, like, a good portion of it, like, was kind of unnecessary.
I mean, you already had that in Uncharted 4. There was
I haven't played that yet, so I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spoil it, but there's a bit towards the end of the second act that just drags and drags and drags, and it could have gone over much quicker, I feel. But at the same time, I also understand that you want to use that room to flesh out characters or flesh out dialogue, but there has to be a balance somewhere. And unfortunately, an artistic medium has no scientific formula attached to it. It's always going to have to be a careful balance of art and commerce and what the developers want and what the public wants.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think I have anything else to say about that in particular. I thought we'd have a little more to say about it, but I think we're good. There's like not that much else to say besides what we just said.
Yeah. There's also the listener question.
Yeah, we have one listener question that I thought was good. This is from somebody named TrySarahTops, like try and then the name Sarah and then Tops.
That's so clever.
I believe she is a small-time Twitch streamer. If you could choose to try a dish or food from any anime or Japanese game, what would it be? Mine has to be the ramen from Ponyo. And I was just thinking about this, and I was like, definitely the food from Monster Hunter. You know how good that meat looks? When people are like, oh man, I feel bad for killing these monsters. Like, I'm just hungry.
Yeah, I get what you mean. If I had to think of anything, we spoke about this before we started recording, but okonomiyaki, the savory pancake-esque dish, it's something I've never eaten, and I'd love to try it. And also dango.
In something in particular?
Insert any summer episode of any anime where they have the summer festival.
Dango is so good. Let me tell you, Dango is so. Oh my god.
Yeah. So
don't even get me started.
I'd like to try all of that. And yeah, you can see him in basically any.
And when I visit my friend up in the Bay Area, we go to Japantown, and there's a little dango stand that before we leave, I always make sure to get a stick of dango.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Not good for your teeth, but it's really good.
So everything in a measured pace, even food.
Also the curry in Pokemon, because I love curry and like Japanese curry specifically.
Oh yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah.
What else? What else?
It's like, oh, this Pokemon Sword and Shield looks so bad. Look at the curry, though.
There's also this anime called Dagashi Kashi, I guess. It's about Japanese snacks and sweets. And everything in that show is very appealing. So yeah, there's that.
They have at least from my experience going to Japan, they have a much higher standard of how they make food, at least compared to the US.
No, okay. I mean, here we just want to...
that's why it always looks a lot nicer.
I mean, here we just want to pump you full of... or in the West, we want to pump you full of empty calories.
Yeah, but we have some good stuff too, I guess.
I mean...
But, I'm trying to think of something. There's like another one. And no, the meat in Monster Hunter just, oh my god. Even when it looks so basic. Anytime there's just like a basic meat on a bone, it just kind of when it looks cooked and like they make it look realistic enough, it just looks really good. Like some really good ribs or something.
If I have to think of anything, I think about the Ichiraku ramen from the Naruto anime and manga.
Oh yeah.
That always looks so appealing. That's
good.
That's about all I can think about.
There's probably food in One Piece that I'm not thinking of as well.
Any meat in One Piece,
every
probably.
Once in a while, they just have a big feast, and I'm just like, oh my god.
It's probably any shonen anime, actually.
Yeah, Dragon Ball Z, other stuff. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I guess that's it.
Well, I think we're gonna leave for dinner because we're both hungry now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that has been our episode 26. We've talked about food. We've talked about the state of the industry.
One thing. I meant to mention it when I said listener questions, that I need to start doing this, so I'm going to say it now. If you want to submit listener questions, reply to our weekly question tweet on Twitter or send the question to us over at infromjapan@gmail.com. And remember to send it in before 4 p.m. Pacific time on the Thursday of that week.
Yes. What he said.
That was all.
Okay. That has been our episode 26. We thank you for joining us, and we'd like to see you next time. Hit us up with comments, critiques, what we can do better. We're always listening and wanting and willing to grow.
Comments, questions, and as my old math teacher would say, any comments, questions, or concerns?
Yeah. So this has been me. This has been Erroll, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Mata ne.